Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating but honestly kind of terrifying medical reality. We're asking a super critical question. Is that daily fatigue you're feeling just, normal aging? Or is it actually a silent, life-threatening condition building up right inside your chest? We're going to break down the science of heart failure using some incredible insights from the source material, and I promise you, what we find might absolutely change how you view your everyday health habits. Think about it. We so often just dismiss getting out of breath, being tired, or a little bit of swelling as simply getting older, right? I mean, it's incredibly easy to write off a sluggish afternoon as just another symptom of a crazy busy life. But we're going to dive into how these super common everyday complaints are actually frequently the very first and the most missed signs of heart failure. The source material really stresses this. If you leave these tiny changes unchecked, the damage literally silently accumulates until it suddenly becomes a massive life-threatening issue. So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, what is heart failure? Then, the hidden diastolic failure. Third, we'll look at counterintuitive treatments and habits. Fourth, the water and salt trap. And finally, crucial early warning signs. All right, let's jump right into section 1. What is heart failure? Okay, so it's absolutely crucial to understand that heart failure isn't actually a single specific disease. Instead, it's really a state of reduced function. Think of it as an umbrella term for when the heart's pump just drops in efficiency and literally can't send the necessary amount of blood your body is demanding. And this reduced state is usually triggered by underlying issues, stuff like high blood pressure, a previous heart attack, or valve disease. The doctors in our source material use this brilliant analogy. Think of your body like a car. If your heart's pump function drops by half, your body's available energy and overall speed drop by half too, exactly like a failing car engine. The pump function is basically the size and power of that engine, while your heart rate acts just like the engine's RPMs. And speaking of those RPMs, your ideal resting heart rate should really be sitting comfortably between 60 and 100 beats per minute. Anything higher than that when you're just resting, well, that means your engine is dangerously overworking to compensate for a weak pump. If your normal 60 beats per minute suddenly jumps to 80 or 100, there's a hidden root cause going on. Maybe it's dehydration, anemia, or failing heart function. That's exactly why tracking this metric over a full 24 hours, even while you sleep using something like a Holter monitor, is such a vital diagnostic tool. Moving on to section 2, the hidden diastolic failure. Now, what's truly fascinating and a bit scary is the blind spot in standard testing. You see, doctors use echocardiograms to watch the heart pump. They can easily see the heart contracting and squeezing. That dynamic motion is super obvious to the eye. But there's a whole second half to the heartbeat, the relaxation. Diastolic failure happens when the heart fails to expand properly to receive blood. It gets stiff. And because expansion is a way more subtle movement than squeezing, this specific defect is often completely missed on standard visual tests, which ends up giving patients a false sense of security. This hidden failure is especially common in older folks and in those dealing with chronic high blood pressure. And here's the thing, because the heart isn't filling properly, it isn't pumping properly. This sets off a really dangerous domino effect. When the heart weakens, your kidneys are actually the very first to suffer. With reduced blood flow, the kidneys literally lose their ability to produce urine. So the whole system backs up, and dangerous amounts of fluid just start pooling inside your body. All right, let's get into section 3, counterintuitive treatments and habits. Okay, so if I told you someone had a failing, weak heart, you'd probably assume they need total bed rest and, a handful of emergency pills right away. But the actual medical hierarchy flips that entirely on its head. The absolute best first-line treatment is actually appropriate exercise, followed by diet, and only then medication. In fact, the Source Clinic specifically dedicates a whole entire floor of their facility purely to exercise therapy for heart patients. Why? Because it's literally the best way to strengthen that heart muscle. And the protocol is surprisingly doable. We're talking 30 to 60 minutes of daily aerobic exercise, like simple walking, combined with strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Even just basic routine walking naturally regulates your autonomic nervous system and stabilizes your heart rate safely. It really proves that correcting your foundational lifestyle habits is the true root cause cure here, rather than just slapping a pharmaceutical band-aid on the problem. Which brings us to section 4, the water and salt trap. We hear it everywhere, right? Drink 2 liters of water a day for optimal health. But listen to this.
If you have reduced heart function, forcing exactly 2 liters of water down your throat is actually incredibly dangerous. Remember that domino effect we talked about? Your failing kidneys just can't process that volume. So that water pools in your body, backing up into your lungs and potentially causing life-threatening respiratory distress. The benefits of hydration are completely wiped out by the danger of essentially drowning your own organs.
So what's the right amount then? Well, instead of some arbitrary fixed daily target, the medical advice is surprisingly simple. Weigh yourself at the same time every single day. You should adjust your water intake to keep your weight completely stable. Obviously, you're going to need more water when you're sweating on a hot summer day and way less during a sedentary, freezing winter day. Let the scale, not a giant water jug, dictate your hydration. And then there's the salt trap, which feeds right back into that fluid retention issue. Salt acts just like a sponge in your body. It retains water and forces your heart to pump against higher pressure. The recommended daily limit is 6 grams, but the average Japanese intake is around 10 grams, and working-age men commonly peak at over 15 grams a day. Eating highly processed foods and dining out makes it so easy to double or even triple that safe limit, silently crushing your heart's efficiency. And now, our final part, Section 5. Crucial early warning signs. I want you to use this as your personal mental checklist. Are you suddenly needing a stack of high pillows just to breathe comfortably at night? Do you notice thick, bulging jugular veins in your neck when you're just sitting around? Or what about pitting edema, that swelling in your legs where if you press it with your finger, the indent actually stays there and doesn't bounce back? If you combine any of those with a sudden 2 kilogram or roughly 4.4 pound weight gain over just a few days, or if you're suddenly waking up constantly at night to urinate, you have a loud and clear SOS that your heart is actively struggling to keep up. A really major distinction for you to track here is timing. Look, plenty of perfectly healthy people get swollen legs by the evening after standing at work all day, right? That's just normal fatigue. But if you wake up, get out of bed in the morning and immediately notice swelling in both feet, that is a glaring, undeniable red flag for heart failure. The fluid simply isn't clearing out overnight because the pump is too weak. The source material really stresses this grim reality. Heart failure silently but steadily progresses, and it's generally irreversible once it crosses a certain threshold. That is exactly why early echocardiograms to look at the heart's function, or BNP blood tests, which measure stress on the heart wall, are absolute lifesavers. Catching this thing before the symptoms become debilitating is literally the whole game. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Tomorrow morning, when you step out of bed, pay close attention. Are you tracking your daily metrics, like your weights? Are you watching your salt intake? Keep an eye out for that morning swelling. Take control of your health by refusing to ignore these seemingly small changes. Because listening to those tiny whispers from your body today, it might just save your life tomorrow.